Okay, welcome back to And Here's Modi. It's Leo, Modi, and Periel.
Wow.
It's my show now. Buckle up.
Oh my God.
Thank God. Thank God it's your
Wait,
show
have
now.
you seen that show, that movie with Tom Hanks, the pirate movie? Tom Hanks is the captain of like a cargo ship and these Somali pirates take it over.
Yes.
And there's this amazing scene where the guy who's the pirate, he goes, "Look at me. I'm the captain now." Oh my. You know what I'm talking about? I'm going to put it in. I'm going to find that and I'm going to put it in. Anyway.
I to that will answer gesund hate. Gesund hate.
No, because I wasn't here for one of the episodes and I got a resounding I've never gotten so much feedback on an episode, period, let alone negative feedback.
Okay, so that we know is a thing.
Yeah.
If people like something, they will. If someone likes an experience, they will share it with 3 people. If someone dislikes an experience, they share it with 12 people.
Okay.
That's a known, like...
This has been market research with Modi.
Exactly.
My God. Okay.
So on this week's Parsha.
I would like to read. We got a bunch of questions. I posted on the podcast Instagram.
Yes.
And I said that, you can ask us anything and if the question's for you. So I'm going to read you some questions and you can say if it's an interesting question or if you want to answer. I would also like to shout out, if you want advice from Modi or Leo or me, write in relationship advice, life. You don't want you giving.
No, I don't think people want me giving them advice.
Of course they do.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Every comedian I work with says, please manage me. So of course they want your advice. Go ahead.
Okay. What is the one thing regular people just don't get about being a comic and doing stand-up comedy?
Oh, this I'll give it to you. They don't understand that when we're off stage, we're off stage.
That's a good answer.
A good comic, when he's off stage, is off stage. If you have a comic who's on at a dinner table, I promise you, on stage, he will not be funny.
So
I don't mean be boring or be lame, but we're not on.
Right.
And they don't need to try to show us what they have that's funny.
Right. They also don't need to say, tell me a joke.
That's
I think that was
read the question one more time. I want to hear the question again.
What is the one thing regular people just don't get about being a comic and doing stand-up comedy?
So something else I would say is like when we're in a conversation with regular people.
Yeah.
Normies.
Non-civilians.
Civilians.
And I hear a laugh.
Uh-huh.
I always see where'd that laugh come from. And then I'll refocus. I go, what did he say? He said that the blah 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 did da 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 da. I'm like, oh yeah, and I might just text that to myself. So
I will say, I think knowing how to interface and interact with artists, not just comedians, but like musicians or dancers or anyone who's a performing artist, I think a key in working with them and understanding them and just hanging out with them is like, they don't want to be that 100% of the time.
Right.
And they don't want to talk about it 100% of the time. And I think just if you approach them differently and disarm them, it disarms them, really. And then you get like to see a whole nother side of them.
And do you also think do you have to temper yourself when you're around people who aren't comics? Because we say some
you guys are
pretty
nasty.
outrageous
You guys are brutal.
Brutal.
You should sit at the Comedy Cellar when all the big comedians are sitting together, like big names, and they're just like, and you did this, and you're awful, and no one thinks you're funny. It's like rough.
Yeah, you can't be like that with other. Leo's told me that he's not a comic. Don't speak to him like that.
You're like a dog at the end of the leash. I'm gonna pull you back.
No, do we tempt? Yeah, you don't speak to people who aren't. When doctors talk to each other, they have their own language too, because they understand something, especially specific doctors of a specific thing.
Right.
They have their own lawyers when they get together, and they have that.
But one thing, actually, it's funny that you said that, because I find that when I go to new doctors and I tell them that I'm a comic and I'm a writer and I'm a this, they're actually, they have all of these questions.
Oh, everyone has a song in their heart. like they're like you go to your doctor, you're like, oh, I'm a comedian, whatever, and then they're like, oh well, I have the 5-minute bit I've been working on. Can I like?
And they always say to you, here's something you should never say to people. Don't
You could
ever
use this
start-
for your act.
Yes.
Right. That.
Yes.
That.
Yes.
Ugh.
Or when people begin a story, you'll find this funny.
Yes.
You'll find this funny. If you're saying you'll find this funny, there's a good chance I'm not going
Or
to.
you approach Modi in any social situation, you go, you must be getting a lot of material, huh?
Right.
Oh God.
I'm in like a supermarket.
It's so
I'm like,
funny.
there's no material here.
You could use this for your shtick.
That
Ugh.
you can use this is amazing.
can use this.
You can use this.
You can use this.
Wait, I have a question that someone emailed me directly.
Oh.
And I actually have some hot opinions about this.
What is it?
So I'm not going to read the name.
Don't curse.
No. Hi, I love Modi. I saw you in Pennsylvania, and you brought Mashiach energy big time.
Period.
It was the first time we laughed since October 7th, and it felt like a giant release. So much love. Serious question, kind of personal, and sorry if this is an overstep. It's not meant to be. We're off to a great start. Love it. Was it more of an issue for your Jewish parents that you married a non-Jew or that you married a man? My son is entering dating age and we are having all kinds of conversations. He asked me, what if I dated a man? And I replied, as long as he's Jewish. My response comes from a pain 3 generations deep, a grandchild of Holocaust survivors. I'm wondering how you navigate that and how did you navigate that? Thank you again. Much love and no disrespect. None disrespect taken. However, I just want to say, if you're already doing the mental gymnastics to be like, okay, my kid is gay, at that point, if he brings home a non-Jew, like really, is that where you're going to draw the line? You should just want your kid to be happy. And like, also, if they're gay, they're by default a sort of out of the box couple. You can raise the kids however you want. You can find them a good Jewish school. First of all, we never mentioned the idea that the partner could convert if it's so important. They could convert and they can keep a kosher home or they could find a way and a groove that works for them.
I would like to add to this that
No, because I get offended sometimes because people say to me, like, I've gotten comments like, not only is he gay, he's also married to a non-Jew, as if it's like a layered,
like a double
like
whammy.
as if it's like an insult.
So I want to say that you two, like there are 2 couples I'm very close to, you two and another couple who, Noam and Juanita, and you, and 2 people who aren't Jewish who bring so much more
to the table.
Mashiach energy to the table than so many couples where both of them are Jewish. So my advice to these people is don't presuppose that just because somebody's not Jewish that they're not going to.
I guess I have more, I feel it a little bit more if you're concerned that your straight child is going to marry outside of the religion because you want them to have children and you want those children to be Jewish. I get that. But if they're already a gay couple and we're already on this different path, if they decide to have kids, it's going to be in an unorthodox way, no pun intended, and you can choose your own adventure from there. And I think, there's so many people like me or Juanita who are not Jewish but are very much for the Jews,
For the cause.
the cause, and who bring more to the table than just
Juanita
being Jewish.
does Jewish holidays like to another level than many Jews who I know.
Also, it seems a little prejudiced to me. I'm just going to say that.
I think they were asking from a very nice place.
You can come from a nice place and still be prejudiced.
And so just read me the first part of that question. First part. Don't.
Was it more of an issue for your parents that you married a non-Jew or that you married a man?
For my parents. So let's just take that. When I got married, I was 45. No.
Yeah. No, you met
No,
me.
I met you when I was 45.
Oof.
My parents were at the age where they're more concerned about themselves than other people. Your parents are in your business till a certain time, then they're worried about themselves more. And so they were just happy they were happy I was happy. They'd never seen me with anybody. I never brought people home. I finally brought somebody home. They saw a happiness in me and they fell in love with him right away. And so that was the parent situation.
Says a lot about your parents.
It says a lot about my parents. Yeah, they're like, this is what it is. The second part of the question was?
The second part of the question was, that was it. That was basically the question.
So that's it. So
because her son asked, what if I bring home a man? And she said, as long as he's Jewish.
I always say, as soon as your kids tell you that they're gay, they're bringing home somebody who's not Jewish, they're going to begin with what would make you happy.
Yes.
And then take it from there. Never make it about you. I can't believe the shanda of the family. I can't believe you're going to do this. What would make you happy? Let them start talking and give you advice. And it's funny, I really recently spoke to a Chabad rabbi in Florida who I said to him, your synagogue must have many couples that are interracial, that are interfaith.
Interfaith.
You know, some guy's Jewish. There's the Chabad house down the block. He wants to go Saturday. His wife isn't Jewish. What's his guy? He says to me, I focus on what people do, not don't do. He wants to come to synagogue.
I like that.
That's what he focuses on. He wants challah delivered to his house every Friday. That's what I focus on. He wants to light candles. I focus on that. I don't focus on what they don't do. And that's how you function. It's, you know, and again.
But do you see what I'm saying about like raising Jewish children? I understand if they were a heterosexual couple, but if we're talking about
I get
a gay couple and your question is raising Jewish kids in a Jewish family, at that point, can't you just like make up the rules as you go along?
It's not make up the rules.
We've already done the work to get there.
Right. It's whatever feels right.
Yes.
You've already done the emotional work to be like, okay, my son is gay. And now your hang up is going to be that he's bringing home a non-Jew?
I mean, let's start with the first problem is that shouldn't be emotional work.
I disagree with you on that, actually.
Again, ask the kid, what would make you happy?
That's right.
And then tell them, even though you are bringing home Christian, I'd like you to still come home for Passover and Rosh Hashanah and come home for the holidays. And then it comes together. You know, it'll come together. The easiest way to answer this is this: what's the number one goal? Number one goal is Mashiach, is living in a messianic era. So when I do events for like Jewish education, say the number one goal is Jewish education. All Jewish kids should have a Jewish education. It's not the goal. It's a part of the goal. It's something
right. But then people say that what we're doing is a Chilul Hashem because. So actually, Mashiach won't come because we're doing this.
Yeah.
So that's the rebuttal.
They say.
But people can be wrong also, right?
And I can't believe you let Leo say Chilul Hashem and you go, what the? You should have said, what the hell is that?
Well, no, because I'm really.
And it's sad that I know these words, people, because people send me comments and messages, and I see it. I know see what
it's really not nice. Yeah, not nice. I mean, I think that the Chilul Hashem.
Ooh.
Is people sending messages like that.
Right. I think what? Yeah, exactly. What is worse? Someone who's in a consensual gay relationship or you sending mean messages on the internet?
Sending mean messages.
I think sending mean messages is more of a
It's disgusting. That's preventing Mashiach.
So I want to go back to what you said because I don't speak to my parents because of the whole gay thing. So I feel like I have some leeway here. But you said it shouldn't be emotional work to get to the point where you accept your kid being gay.
Wait. I just want to clarify that. I think that that's emotional work that is the job of the parents. When you decide to have children, you don't get to put that on children. That's not fair. They didn't ask to be born.
No, I agree. But I'm just saying, I totally understand when someone maybe has an image of what their child's life is going to look like. And then when it diverts from that, how it could be.
You don't get to do that, Leo. You don't get to do that. That's not fair.
No, I think.
Like, I want Ari to be a roller skater. Like, I had a dream that he would be a roller skater.
That's a little different.
I mean,
I think sometimes it comes from a place of your child just not wanting to have a harder life.
I'm so sorry, but like that is such a cop-out garbage argument. It is 2025. Like, it's just not true. Like, we have ample evidence of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of gay couples who are living beautiful, fulfilling, incredible lives. They're incredible parents. I mean, you want to make this argument like 100 years ago, like maybe I could entertain it. But like, it's just bullshit. Like, you don't get to have kids and then it's a horrible thing to do to a child.
What would make you happy? That's all you have
That's
to
right.
say.
I agree. I think that your job as a parent is what would make you happy. How can that's
Instill your values on the child. Instill your values, but
try.
but that's what it is. As one doesn't have children, it's not. I mean, I see it, but that's what it is.
Do you think that makes us more palatable to people? The fact that we have made the decision not to have children, like, okay, they're interfaith, but they're not having kids.
Shocked that I don't have children.
Like, I do think it's like a little insidious, but I think that like that is kind of, it makes it a little bit more easier for people to swallow.
Who are these people?
Like the general public who comes to your shows.
No.
Like the religious people.
Nah.
I think so.
I think if people are coming to your shows, they
Just want to laugh.
they're okay. Like they're fine.
Just want to laugh. They're not looking to fulfill any that they want to laugh.
Wait, all right. What other
Next
questions
question,
do we have?
Next question. That was
So wait, what's our answer for her? To just ask what?
ask your child what would make him happy and take it from there. Take the conversation from there.
And I think that also when you come to something from a positive way, it's much more productive than to come to something from a negative way. When you make somebody feel welcome in your home, if you have somebody who's not Jewish who comes to your house and you make them feel welcome and part of, they're going to be much more amenable to being part of something that's important to you instead of making them feel alienated.
Okay, next question.
Okay. Modi.
Yes.
How old were you when you realized you were funny? Who was that one person or people that were your first best audience?
So this question is, I knew I was entertaining. Funny, I didn't know until, again, Donnie Moss. I always tell the story. My friend, when I was working at Merrill Lynch and coming home, imitating the secretaries, and he said, you should be doing this on stage.
But it never occurred to you before that? Like you must have been doing these in like your parents, like you made them laugh?
Yeah, entertaining. It's more entertaining. I didn't think it was funny. It was just more entertaining.
When you were a kid in school, were you like the class clown? Were you making
Wasn't
people
the
laugh?
class clown. I was the class, what do you call it?
Teacher's
Personality
pet.
hire? Personality hire?
Oh yeah, Modi was a personality hire.
Personality hire. I knew how to get along and not upset people and be helpful, especially in school when my grades struggling and I'm dyslexia and ADHD and all that stuff, and there wasn't diagnosis back then. I was surviving by women.
But you had the street smarts to be a good teacher's pet, kind of.
Yes.
And so maybe you didn't do well on the tests and everything, but you went to after hours and you went and got help and you were nice to them and you were polite.
But funny and stand-up comedy, I never thought of that about that. I never been to a comedy club until the first time I was there. My friend Donnie Moss said, do this on stage. And that's the first time. That's when it clicked. That's when it clicked. Yeah, good question. Nest.
What goes into making a comedy show? That is to say, on what do you base your material?
A lot of emails.
People watching, politics, societal norms, etc.
All of those things. You don't really get into politics though. That
I
much.
don't. Although I'm dying to. I think there's such good stuff coming out now.
Is this administration going to bring out?
This is going to bring it out.
Partisan stuff?
Really. I think tonight I'm going to even hit them with it a little bit.
Do you have stuff that or topics or subjects that you really like to talk about, like that's particularly fun for you to make jokes about, or is everything kind of like fair game?
Whatever gets a laugh. It's whatever gets a. For me, I don't know. Topics pop up to me. They add on. I work it out with Leo. I get a little buzz on, and I get on the treadmill and think it through.
And by think it through, he's screaming on the treadmill.
No, that was singing. That was
you're.
But that's how
You talk it out.
I talk it out, dude. I do talk it out to myself a lot.
So, yeah, you talk to yourself a lot.
Yeah, Modi doesn't write in like a traditional sense where you think like a comedian sits down and is like, okay, I'm going to write for an hour. That doesn't happen. Modi is just constantly rehearsing in his head to the point where he memorizes it. And I'll look over and he's just like mumbling or lip syncing the words. And I'm like, what? What bit are you on? Like, what are you rehearsing? But that's how he's so good.
Yep. Nest.
How much?
Can we just nest and following when you are at a retail store and like you're waiting to pay? They go, nest, nest. Or they go, following. Like, what's like it's the following guest. Following guest. They just go, following, nest.
Okay.
Okay.
You're going to like to answer this, so I'm going to read this. This is, I'm giving you one. How do we keep Mashiach energy going in such troublesome times?
Find a comedy show, invite a few friends to go to it with you. Send a friend a clip, make a phone call. It's so easy to just find a little bit help. Just help somebody, help. And
You always say you can do anything for smiling at somebody.
smile at somebody. Oh, your shirt's so nice. I love what you did with your hair. You look great. That creates Mashiach energy.
Send a meal to a Holocaust survivor, help somebody across the street. Like you always say, like you can do anything.
Anything that creates a little bit of Mashiach energy. That's it.
Don't be a bitch to people.
Don't be a bitch.
Still
yeah.
working on that.
So that was it. That's the whole question. So good.
That was the question. That was one of them. Is there any chance of having a whole show in Hebrew?
I've done that twice.
You have?
Yeah, it was very, very hard.
I imagine it's hard.
It was very, very, very hard. One time I did it, I remember it was at the JCC of New Jersey. The good thing was the entire audience were all people who were Americans that Israelis that moved to America.
Right.
So it was all performing for like your mom and dad.
Right.
They all know
An hour you did in Hebrew?
I did it like probably an hour.
I'm
yeah.
doing a show in February that's in all Hebrew, but it's
Yeah.
only like, 15 minutes. And
Yeah.
I'm already like, how am I going to do this?
No,
it's hard.
It's very everybody listening is going to be American Israeli, right? So just talk about your parents. And
Is
so
there
on.
a chance of having a whole show in Hebrew is the question.
I feel like don't rule it out.
I'm not ruling it out.
Anything
No,
is
not ruled out.
possible.
Everything's
Someone wrote, big fan. I have been to several of your shows asking for a friend. Will your upcoming shows have all new material?
Yes.
Yes.
The shows that are on now is all new material, and it's nothing to do with the past special or anything that we put up on Instagram. Pause for Laughter is a brand new hour and 10 minutes.
But you can also tell because it's a different title of the tour.
No,
They don't know. People didn't know that.
People don't understand.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
give it to them.
Okay.
They don't understand what's happened, like the timeline of the material and all that stuff.
Arthur said to me, he didn't understand that at all.
Okay.
He goes, yeah, he didn't understand that.
So do people think you're just going and keeping on doing the same jokes over and over and over?
I think so.
I think people, I have been struggling with this recently, that I think in terms of just like the brand and trying to figure out what to post and like all that stuff, I think that people think that you just go on stage and do like Ashkenazi Sephardic stuff all day long.
God forbid.
And I'm like trying to tell you, no, that was a bit that you probably saw one time. But that's not, first of all, it's not in the act at all anymore.
No.
But it's crazy, like what people's perceptions are.
Yeah, and the new show is amazing, and it's but like Know Your Audience and Pause for Laughter are two different shows. People don't understand that. Like Arthur didn't get that. It's like wow, but but they should watch the old stuff and then come to
Sure,
the new
but
show.
I'm saying that's how you can tell in general usually when a comic is doing all new material.
People aren't perceptive.
People don't know that they're also not in
Yeah.
the comedy world.
I'm trying to help them.
Right. So just so tell them that every show, every tour has its own name and its own new material.
That's what I'm
Yes,
saying
yes,
is that if it has a different name, it's a different tour, it's different jokes.
Yeah.
I guess
People
it
came
is
up to
no,
me
it
at
is
the
hard.
Beacon.
It is hard because people like when you go see a musician or a band or a singer, you kind of want them to do songs that you know. And I do
Okay.
think there's a little bit of that at play with live comedy.
Agreed.
You kind of are like, oh, I hope he does this bit, but you don't want him to do all the same thing.
Exactly.
But it's most people don't go to a lot of comedy shows. I think that's a fact.
okay.
And so I feel like it's from like a consumer standpoint, I kind of get like the confusion.
Okay. Well, we're
I
clearing
think we're
it up.
like the 1% of people who have sat through comedy and seen live comedy. Like we're at the outlier of the outliers.
yeah, we're definitely not like.
So for someone who goes once or twice a year and they buy tickets to something,
Yeah, they want to know
I-
that they're seeing something
Yeah.
different. Except they also want to see some of the
Right.
same.
Right. It's a hard thing to juggle. And when I speak to people for private events, not so much now, but before, they would always ask, like, is it going to be new or is it going to be what we saw? And I would be like, that's a sticky question to ask because, like, if he goes up there and he does none of the bits that you recognize, he's going to get off stage and you're going to say, I wish you would have done the Hatzala bit. But if he goes up there and does all old stuff, you're going to be like, we've seen all of that before. So, and that's where the art of being, being a comedian and being a professional, he has to read the room.
Has to read the room. Speaking of reading the room, how much effort does it take to walk the line between what you know is funny and relatable and what might be uncomfortable topics?
Uncomfortable topics?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's not so much you don't really do. People do though, right? Like you don't know if you're stepping over the line until you step over it though, right? That's why cancel culture was such a problem for comics.
Is cancel culture still such a thing?
I think it's less.
Post
I think it's helped comics. It's helped comics more than it's hurt comics.
I think there was like a year and a half where people were scared. Yeah. And then it quickly was like...
There were comics who said that they stopped going to perform in like certain states and colleges because you couldn't say anything.
I think it's changed. I think we haven't even processed how quickly... I wouldn't say a backlash, but like definitely a backpedaling of a lot of those, like, you have to be politically correct all the time. Like how fast that changed overnight.
I mean, okay.
Next.
That's
it.
Let me see if I'm missing anything. I think those were the best ones, I think.
Those were easy.
Those were easy?
Very, very, very easy.
You want harder ones?
Yes, send in harder questions.
Okay.
But those were very easy, and thank you for sending them in. Next topic. What do you have on there?
I sent you guys a joke.
Yes.
A Holocaust joke.
Yes.
That Ricky Gervais told Jerry Seinfeld, and Ricky Gervais said that. Or the person who posted said, this is the most philosophical joke in the world. Yeah. Will you do the honors of retelling the joke? No?
I think we should play it.
Okay.
Edit it in here, and then we can just discuss it afterwards.
That's great.
Yeah.
Can I try to say it?
Sure.
Go ahead.
A Holocaust survivor dies and goes to heaven. He meets God and tells him a Holocaust joke. God doesn't laugh. The Holocaust survivor says, I guess you had to be there. Did I do a good job?
Great job. Great job. You killed it.
For something I heard once a few hours ago.
You're doing very well today, Leo, I have to say.
So I guess what's the thing? That was God at the Holocaust?
So obviously there's a whole thing about, like, it's basically him saying God wasn't there. It's an amazing joke because it's going to spark conversations. And as long as people are talking about the Holocaust, it's good. As long as people are talking about it, whatever it is great. It's an amazing joke because it's, it's saying God wasn't there. And
what is the, like, how was God there? How?
We don't, we don't know. We don't know how, we don't know what made the Holocaust happen. We know that, and again, God is not a person saying, okay, now Holocaust. It's an energy, it's oneness. Oneness was off, the world was off, and that happened. And that something happened to cause that.
But okay, but just for a little bit of context, I posted this joke and somebody wrote and said, can you please share this on the podcast and have Modi talk about it?
Right.
And I think the question is how could God have been there, and let that happen?
Let's discuss the joke, not the concept. So I don't know how God was there. There were miracles that happened in the camps.
Okay.
People that did survive. I just sat through a shiva of a Holocaust survivor, and there were people talking about the miracles that happened in the camps. Why there were camps is a different story.
Okay.
Okay, and it's not like, but the joke.
So the joke, good.
But back to the joke. The joke would spark a conversation.
Right. So Seinfeld said it's a novel in a joke.
It's a novel and a joke.
Right.
You could write a whole book about this. Was God there? He wasn't there. What is God? Who is God? Is there a God? It's all of that.
I have heard like religious people who like debate these things, who like do believe in God, who are like, you know, the argument of like, oh, look at all these bad things that happen. How could you say there's a God? That's actually like a horrible argument, and because free will and we make our own problems and stuff. But 6 million is a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. So whatever happened that made that happen was it's not something I talk
Right,
about.
but it's the
not-
joke. So
Yeah,
you're saying
It's
the joke, back to the joke.
Back to the joke. It's a great joke.
It's because it says so much in so little.
Right.
Like the comment, like it's so layered, right?
The Holocaust survivor has a sense of humor.
Okay.
That was actually my big takeaway
He has a
from
sense
it.
of humor, you know, and then it's funny because it's even layered. The video's even layered because Ricky Gervais doesn't believe in God.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know about Seinfeld, but I know Ricky Gervais.
Yes, that's right.
Is a
Atheist.
talks about it. He's an atheist.
Yeah.
Does not believe.
Yeah, it's
in
like
God.
part of his whole brand.
It's a part of his whole brand. Yeah, but it's a great joke that brings up all kinds of.
It's a great joke.
It's a great joke.
It reminds me, Gilbert Gottfried used to tell this joke. It's different. I'm sure you know this, that
No.
this mother was at the beach with her baby,
Yeah.
and the baby got taken to shore, and the mother just starts screaming and praying, please God, I'll do anything. Just please give me my baby back. And suddenly the baby comes back on the land, and she picks it up, and she says,
He was wearing a hat. Wave brought him, took him, and Wave brought him back. Yeah, it's a great joke.
I know
But
that
why do you see those two jokes as the same?
because I think that in that joke, there's also a novel. Like, I think that in that joke, it's so layered of so much happens in that joke. It says so much about our culture and hope and
just asking
loss.
God for stuff.
Yeah, and just
Yeah,
asking.
well, on the asking God stuff, and then the asking God for stuff joke, that's not even the one you would go to. You would go to the one about the rabbi whose synagogue is failing and he needs money and he says prays to God, please let me win the lottery. Please, if I win the lottery, I'll be able to pay off the synagogue mortgage. I'll be able to make lunch for people. I'll be able to help the poor. If I just let me win the lottery. And the week goes by, he doesn't win the lottery. And again and again, and it just doesn't work. And he's screaming to God, please, it's not for me. And God finally goes, do me a favor, help me out, buy a ticket.
Yeah, I've heard that one too.
That's like, you know, that could be layer two, is that you need a vessel. A vessel needs to be built.
Yeah.
Those are like the God jokes, yes.
They're
But
fun.
they're fun and they do spark a conversation. And again, anytime you talk about the Holocaust, I'm okay. Talk about it. Start the conversation. Yeah. Very important. Yeah.
That was like when I got dressed up as a hot dog for Halloween.
Yeah.
And I had a little sign on me that said, my name is, and I wrote Anne. And so
And Frank. Oh, I get that. Wow.
and this,
I think that's a little different, Periel.
That's funny.
I still
Speaking
don't.
of,
it's not, because this woman started yelling at me on Broadway and 78th Street. And she said, are you making fun of the Holocaust? My grandparents were Holocaust survivors. And I said, first of all, so are mine. And no, like, God forbid, I would never make fun of the Holocaust. And I said exactly what you just said, which is that I'm sparking a conversation about
Absolutely.
the Holocaust. And by the way, it's a brilliant idea.
it was
for a
brilliant. And
costume.
speaking of hot dogs,
Yes!
we want
Yes!
a great way. A&H Provisions, best kosher, Glock kosher foods, and of course, best hot dogs in the world. Even the goyim understand that this is so delicious. And it's kosherdogs.net is the website, and promo code MODI for 30% off your first order. Get some. They're amazing. And thank you again to Whites in Luxembourg, the law firm that not only does well, they do good, very philanthropic. Thank you, Arthur, and everybody from Whites in Luxembourg. And
whiteslux.com.
done. All right.
Okay.
Okay, next.
Okay, now I thought we could do a little segment called Story Time with Modi.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. And I was trying to think of what stories would be appropriate and fun to tell. And I looked at Leo for some guidelines, and he just told me to keep it PG-13.
Okay.
Okay. So the first story I thought could be appropriate given what's going on in the world is the story about when you met Donald Trump.
Oh, when I first met Donald Trump,
Mm-hmm.
I met Donald Trump the Saturday after 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
We had these shows in. I had my first Atlantic City show. It was a part of like a whole tour with Stuttering John and guys from the Howard Stern show and Jim Florence. I don't remember who was on, but I think it was a bunch of guys from the Howard Stern crew.
And you couldn't get out of the city because all the planes were
Right.
grounded,
So
right?
remember, we were going to drive anyway, but Donald Trump drove down. He said he hasn't driven to Atlantic City in years. And he came to the show because back then he was a big fan of Stern. And then we had lunch with him the next day and was sitting there. So I don't know exactly if he was married to Melania or not or whatever what was, but she's sitting across from me. And I keep saying to her, you look very familiar. You look very familiar. There were like banners of her face throughout the entire hotel. And on the back of the key, the key that you get in and out of your room was her face.
Really?
I swear to you. And like every time I keep asking, you look very familiar. John would like be kicking me under the table. And but
That's like the episode of The Crown where the Queen Mother goes to that castle and he's like, you look very familiar.
Right,
It'll
right.
come to me.
Right.
And she's like, I'm the queen, bitch.
But he came backstage and the whole show was a fundraiser. And I have a picture of me and him, and we're holding a one of those water those water dispensers where you bring up the big
Yeah.
the big jug of water and you flip it over, and we were filling that with money. There's a picture of me and him holding it together.
Oh,
Yeah,
my.
Speaking of Melania and Trump, the Jimmy Carter funeral,
Yeah.
did you see that footage of all of the ex-presidents sitting together?
Yes.
And I just want to say, as someone who can hold a grudge, surprising to no one, the fact that Kamala can walk into that room and just not lose her shit is so crazy to me. You saw Karen Pence though would not shake Trump's hand or say hi to him, or she just completely ignored him.
Can you blame her?
Yeah, they were almost lynched because of that man.
I mean, and he just like walks in and like nothing.
Meanwhile,
right?
he was talking to Obama like they were pals.
Obama and George Bush gave him a, how you doing to
Like
Obama.
a little flick.
It
Yeah.
all shows you that it's a big game.
Yes.
I don't think it's a big game.
It's a big game.
Big game.
These people are traveling together. They're going to each other's
Who's these
weddings.
people?
All of these ex-presidents and
I agree with you,
people-
but not. I think Trump is an outlier there. I don't
well,
think.
apparently not. It was like they were all together. Like he
Well,
was
that's
like
because it's a state event. It's a state funeral. They all have to sit together.
it could have
It's
been
like,
much more somber. Like it was very, they were very familiar with each other. That was not the first time that they were chatting.
well, Michelle Obama didn't go. She like refused to go,
I want to tell you that
which I wouldn't go either.
We know you wouldn't go.
I'm in shock that Donald Trump didn't bring Elon Musk instead of Melania.
As his plus one.
That would have as his plus one.
Could you imagine Elon Musk just jumping down the aisle of
with his Aspergery jump, and it'd have been amazing, and it'd been. I think Trump knows it's all anybody would have talked about, and like he didn't want to really steal everything from Jimmy Carter.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's not
Because I
considerate
don't
of
know if
other
you saw,
people.
I was on the plane when this happened because I don't watch the news, but like Jimmy Carter's drive through Washington began at the same time that Donald Trump went and spoke at Mar-a-Lago. He had a conference at the same time, so I was watching like that on the TV that had live, on the back of the Delta chair, and it was just so crazy.
Meanwhile, didn't like Jimmy Carter have to like give up his peanut farm so that he could take office? Meanwhile, like Trump is like slinging stakes and university courses and
Absolutely.
bankruptcies and hush
Golf
money
clubs
and et cetera, et cetera, et
buildings.
cetera.
Yes. Yes.
Crazy. So Jimmy Carter would have loved that he was at his funeral. This guy who has a plane with his name on it. He who had to give up his peanut farm.
Yeah, as someone who lived through the Jimmy Carter thing, so I will tell you what's really funny. So when you hear Jimmy Carter, it doesn't really mean anything to you. It's like me hearing Nixon.
I was raised in my personal particular household that he was very bad.
Okay. So I lived through the Jimmy Carter administration.
And what was your takeaway?
And so when I hear Jimmy Carter,
what do you hear?
So right away in my head, there's the blink of the Sadat and Menachem Begin shaking hands.
Mm-hmm.
That. And then right away, the next beep is hostages. When Jimmy Carter was in office, back then, there wasn't Instagram. It was every night you sat at the TV and watched the news, and it began with, today is the 320th day that the hostages are held in Iran. And he never got them out, and he had a failed attempt to get them out. And when I hear Jimmy Carter, it's synonymous with the words hostages. And it's so crazy, like his death and now the hostages. Right. And God willing, by the time this thing airs, they'll all be freed. So Jimmy Carter to me is hostages. Is like, I remember that. It was such a
How many people were in Iran being held hostage?
It was a lot. They had a lot of hostages there. And they were super innocent students, and they were masked the whole time, and it was so horrible. It was such a horrible thing to live through. Today, we're like almost numb that there's hostages.
53 United States diplomats and citizens were held hostage from November 4th, 1979 to January 20th, 1981 in Iran.
Jesus.
That's how many years?
Over
a year and change.
Yeah.
2 years.
Why was Jimmy Carter very bad in your house?
In your house. Well, you're from Georgia, so that didn't.
This was not from Georgia people. This is from when I lived in Florida. I don't know why. I don't know.
He was Democrat.
Yeah, that's why. Probably.
Maybe that's why. Yeah.
The baby killer. Next question.
Yeah.
Period.
He was.
My parents were what we call single issue voters.
I remember, and then Reagan came with all that charm, and no second term for Jimmy Carter.
All that charm and
killed it. We're like, yes.
He was a personality hire.
Right. Jimmy Carter, when he spoke softly. He spoke very nice about and then Reagan come in with zingers and jokes and he looked like, Reagan was an actor. It was easy to look at. It was fun.
Reagan, though, he really dropped the ball.
Oh, he dropped the ball. So when I think of Reagan, I think of AIDS.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's the first thing I think of.
I mean, hundreds of thousands of people died on his watch. Okay. That time I performed in Rotterdam. Can you finish this sentence?
Is that when you got really sick? No, don't say that.
No.
Why? This is such a funny story.
No, but I will tell you, I remember performing in Rotterdam, and they had Rotterdam. Those of you who don't know, it's like the background of the stage. Instead of a brick wall, they had the skyline of Rotterdam.
Okay.
Rotterdam has a skyline. There are big buildings in Rotterdam because they had to rebuild Rotterdam after World War II, because they were going to fight the Nazis in Rotterdam. And the Nazis just destroyed them. So my opening line was, "It's great being here in Rotterdam with the skyline of Rotterdam, brought to you by the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force." And that got a huge bit like laugh. But the other story is about, it's not a good
food
story.
poisoning. Next question.
Food poisoning question. It was not.
Right.
It's not cute.
I like this story of how you got the part in The Sopranos. I feel like this is not prominently featured on this podcast ever.
I want to make a public admission here.
Don't you dare.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen The Sopranos.
Oh my God. That is a crime against humanity.
I know.
And you will
but-
love it.
Will I? Because I've seen clips and like I get the references and I understand the characters, but I've never like watched.
Do you
The
like
Sopranos.
movies like Goodfellas and that? Like, do you?
You're like, do you have taste? Do you like Goodfellas?
Do you like the best movie that's ever been?
Mafia movies. He's not. I will tell you that much. He's not a big.
I don't
I'm
like
not like-
watching people get whacked.
No.
You have to watch.
I know, but there's so many episodes and like I never saw it like while it was on because I wasn't allowed to watch television. And so like then I was too late.
Well, you were probably too little when it was on to watch it.
Yeah.
Like that was not appropriate. I'm just telling you, like this show is
Iconic. It's like
one of the best shows that's ever been on television.
I know. I'm
not to mention that your husband is on the show.
Yeah, would you like to tell us about your episode?
How did I get the audition? I got the audition. It asked for jewelry salesperson, and I didn't know that it was in a mall in
Jersey.
In New Jersey, and so I thought it was jewelry would be in 47th Street. And it says Jewish. I don't know if it said Israeli.
No, it didn't say Israeli. It said Jewish. It's a Jewish jewelry salesman was the description.
Right.
And you were selling Tony.
I know what I did. I was selling Tony, and I had a whole like 3 pages of dialogue, and then they cut it down to 3 lines. I always say I'm the only one that got whacked in the editing room.
That's funny.
But I walked in and, everybody's there. And these are all for smaller parts. So they're not looking to like, if this is going to happen, it's going to happen. I walked in and right before I found out it's not on 47th Street, it's in somewhere in whatever. So it wasn't a religious person selling jewelry. It said diamond dealer. So it said that the role said diamond dealer when I got the sides for it. And I walked in and with an Israeli accent, I spoke to them. I go, what kind of a diamond dealer are you looking for? Is it religious? Is it not religious? Is it what kind of? And by the time I left the building, they already called and I had the role because they wanted something authentic.
Yeah.
They thought I was this Israeli. Not that I'm not.
More than once, I would say 2 or 3 times. Like Sopranos, like mega fans have sent us pictures and like memorabilia that they want Modi to sign. And they're like, I have autographs from every single person who has ever been in any episode of The Sopranos at all. And I want you to like be a part of my collection.
No way.
That and
that and Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto. I was in Grand Theft Auto.
That's a video game?
It's a video
It's like
game.
the most popular video game of all time.
Yeah, and people who are crazy fans have like found a way to get to me.
What did you do in Grand Theft
I was
He played a Hasidic Jew. He voiced a Hasidic Jew.
You
It
did?
was a real stretch. You had to dig deep.
I had to go to
Actors Toolbox method.
Yes, I had to go method on that one.
Inside the actor's studio.
Yeah.
Have you posted that clip of him from The Sopranos?
No.
No.
Oh my God, it's
like,
so good.
Is it?
Yes.
I was so like embarrassed that it was chopped down to
Are
nothing.
you crazy? It is so great. First of all, I've watched The Sopranos. Guy and I watch The Sopranos like every 4 to 5 years.
That's us with Sex in the City.
Or The Crown. I'm in The Crown again. I'm rewatching The Crown again. Yeah.
But have you watched the whole Sopranos?
While it was happening.
All right, listen. I don't know what to tell you.
Should we try it?
We could.
It's
and I
so
tried,
good.
No, but I get a lot of the Soprano clips on
See, don't do that.
on Instagram, and I always watch them, and they're so satisfying.
Guys, I have to pee again.
Yeah,
but we're running out of time.
Well, we're done. We're actually finished.
Yeah.
There's a whole gay thing in there that's amazing.
Who was gay in The Sopranos?
You were. Next question.
On that note, ModiLive.com for shows near you.
Yeah, I'm not going to read off all the dates, but there's a lot.
Off the top of my head, by the time this hits, we're going to be done with Houston and Austin, and I'm sure the shows were Mashiach Energy, Baltimore, Los Angeles, I'm coming to you. Oh my God, the 20th of March, it's going to be an amazing show at the Wiltern. And then we have shows in Baltimore, in
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. It's going to be a great show. Tampa, Phoenix,
Toronto, Buffalo, Pittsburgh.
Go to ModiLife.com. Find not only like if it's near you, find it if it's near a friend of yours, give them the link. Say, Modi's coming to you. Go watch him, get some tickets for a few friends. Be the friend that brings their friends to the comedy show. That's Mashiach Energy. Thank you, Periel Ashenbrand, where you can look at her Instagram for whatever you need from her. And Leo Vega.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.